Come one, come all, to immediate review.
We just saw Mank, the new film from David Fincher, and we're joined with Person A.
Hey!
So, if you don't know, it's the new David Fincher movie. It's about Herman Mankiewicz, who wrote Citizen Kane, and yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know a whole lot actually about this whole time period and about a lot of the movie makers. I actually just watched Citizen Kane for the first time like a week and a half ago.
Yeah, Citizen Kane is essential viewing for this movie.
There
are a few things where it's like if you haven't seen Citizen Kane, it's just gonna go totally over your head.
Yeah,
but
it's true. But yeah, the story itself is what I assume is pretty accurately based off a true story. So it's like
I'd hope so. Yeah.
For the most part, if you know the story, I assume you know what's going to happen. In that, I don't really want to spoil anything, so I'll just focus on the technical aspects. Which this was shot on a brand new camera, the red Monster Chrome, which is a monochrome
first digital
camera.
Black and white camera.
Yeah.
Black and white only. Does not shoot in color.
And honestly, it looks really good.
It does.
It didn't I don't know exactly what I was expecting when I heard about the camera a couple years ago, but seeing it, it is what it is. It just presents a really crisp look, like Alexa-like black and white image. And Dakota pointed out while we were watching that with that camera, getting the feedback to the monitors is going to be in black and white, so they can actually look at what everything is going to look like, at least straight out of the box, black and white. You can do that with a LUT, but this gives you like just a little more precise control than just a flat LUT just getting put onto your monitor. This it paid off. It looks really good. They had a lot of really cool movements. Yes, shadows and highlights are all there. They're able to do shots inside and still have the outside looking really nice, which is super hard to do. It looked and was shot fantastic, and cinematography was excellent. Framing, composition, it was all really, really well done.
They did some things to try to make it look like old film, the black and white, obviously. But they had reel changes, and there were 7 reels in this movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, they included reel changes. They would do a lot of fade outs, which was common back then, and every time it faded out, it would be like a lot noisier because they had to duplicate shots back then to do a fade out. One thing that I did think was odd though is it's going so far to try and achieve the look of the time, but it's in 2:3:9 widescreen, which didn't exist. So I was kind of like, it's fine. It's a nitpick, but I was like, if you're really going for the look, why didn't you shoot in 1:37? Use the Academy ratio. Mm-hmm. But it's no big deal. It is what it is. Person A, what do you think?
Well, it's pretty, and it's also pretty boring. Every time something interesting, like they brought up, is some interesting stuff that happened or was happening around that time period that's based in reality, and I thought they were going to go more into all of that. They didn't. It would then just cut and be like 6 months later, or it would be then they're talking about something else, or it never comes up again, or it's just in the background, or there's no consequence to it. This big major thing happens and it's like, oh, he's just gonna drink some more now.
It's showing the mundaneness of an alcoholic, it's like...
Yeah, and that makes for a pretty mundane movie, that's all I'm saying. It's like, it's in black and white, and it looks real good, and the shadows, and the light, and the story is boring.
No, if this was standard and in color, I would not enjoy this movie as much.
The black and white does give it...
It's just the overall style of it all that makes it worth watching.
It doesn't even have any, Fincherisms, plot.
I like that, though. I know, that David Fincher's trying something else.
When he tried something else and took out all his Fincherisms, it was like there was nothing driving the plot other than
I don't know who
basics.
wrote it.
His brother or somebody related to him. It's written by Jack Fincher.
Oh, okay.
And it's so slow that I was just like I could only pay attention when it would like start to get interesting or when there were extra pretty things on the screen.
So
And I was like, that's disappointing for me.
So I'll disagree with that. I was actually one of the things I was going to say was that I thought it was really well paced. I thought the writing was really good, and I thought that it flowed really well. But I think that this movie, at least the stuff that I thought was really interesting, was kind of getting the behind the scenes look at like screenwriting processes and like we commented that we really wish they would have shown. Behind the scenes of Citizen Kane.
Yeah.
And that is actually really interesting. The politics of trying to get the Citizen Kane made while he's writing it, and the revisions that they were asking for, and it would like tease it, and then it would just go back to like and like because it's in black and white, and because of the way it like the non-linear storytelling was
like Citizen Kane.
Citizen Kane. The thing with Citizen Kane was it was always very clear when it was a different time period, but
and
this
they didn't
it was
need
like
to tell you with text.
And they didn't need to tell you with text. With this, the text is the only thing guiding you because there's no changes in pace or style or acting, and like Gary Oldman looks roughly the same. You're like, oh, he's a little heavier here. He has more wrinkles here.
More
maybe.
Energetic, I would say. Like
he's got a broken leg here. He's more drunk here. Like you can kind of guess.
It was hard to tell.
Like to me, like the pacing felt like it was 3 hours long, and it was semi in order because the out of.
I mean,
it didn't feel as purposeful as Citizen Kane's non-linear.
It's like 2.5 hours long, wasn't it?
2 hours and 12 minutes.
Yeah, I felt an extra hour.
The only I think I would have felt the pacing was slower if I didn't notice the reel changes. But the moment we noticed those, I was like, okay, it's 2 hours and 12 minutes, should be 7 to 8 reels, and so I would just count the reels, and so that's why the pacing felt fine for me. But yeah, I
that's probably the same for me too.
It probably could have been paced a little better. But the movie's trying to focus on Mank itself, and I get that, but the guy they got to play Orson Welles was so damn good. I really wanted to see more about Orson Welles.
Not only that, but what
really
do we
good.
know about Mank, really?
Well, that's why they're trying to make the movie.
No,
it's
no,
the
no, no,
story
no.
you don't know.
Except by the end of the movie, what do we know about him, really?
He was an alcoholic who wrote an amazing movie.
And
That's
it.
He
was a humanitarian. He brought like 100 people from Nazi Germany over to America and like gave them housing, sponsored
That was
them,
one of the most interesting
And they,
things.
yeah, exactly. And they
don't expand on it at all.
That's my problem.
No,
It's not like you really get to know
it's
him
a
and
totally
think, you know,
valid criticism.
Yeah.
Like every time something like that came up that was really interesting, like that whole conversation that they have about like the Nazis and that one dude being like, oh, Hitler's not a big deal, and like
it kind of just leads to okay, I'll let him drink.
Yeah,
but
and then that's
it's
like his whole character arc is just him drinking, and then people not taking him seriously, and him drinking some more.
But he's really
and then his
written.
wife is like, go back to your wife area. The movie keeps sending her back to her wife area until she's a plot convenience.
It's true.
It's just.
That is so true.
They could have done so much more with that.
There's lots of Citizen Kane homages. Okay, one thing I find odd that
the coin.
It's not. I don't think it's a flaw with the movie. I think it's very purposeful, but for me, it just didn't gel. Is the movie kind of has a weird blend of trying to be a realistic drama and paying homage to over the top like old school Hollywood. Like a lot of the characters talk like characters in movies would back in the day, but that's not really how people actually talk. Except when the movie wants to have people talk normal, and it kind of there's this weird mix of realism and like over the top old school movies that I'm sure is purposeful, and I don't really think it's a flaw, but for me it just the widescreen is a perfect example. It's like going above and beyond to try to look like old film of the time, and they don't even shoot it in an aspect ratio that's of the time. They choose something that's much more, I guess, modern.
They didn't go full Lighthouse with it.
And I felt, I felt like the acting style overall just kind of muddled it a bit. I was thinking about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, because it very much reminded me of it in a lot of ways. And like, when you're watching the real world, and when you're watching like something stylized itself. I know this movie didn't really do that, but
I wish it would have. Honestly,
Well,
little
it
bit
wouldn't
more.
really have the opportunity, I guess. I guess
They're
it could
on a
have
film
showed.
set multiple times.
Good point. But I guess
We could have at least seen like that happening, like them filming in the background and like.
And that's kind of what I was expecting, honestly. I really was expecting just more about making movies and actual Hollywood stuff. And there's a little too much election and William Randolph.
It is
Hearst
there
movie.
though, like it's there.
It's there and it's awesome, and I think I just missed it so
But there's
much.
still
like
like
Kristen was saying.
at the same time there's still like not enough of the stuff that actually made it into Citizen Kane because that was part of the inspiration.
We need a sequel that's about Orson Welles.
But yeah, I'll be Mank's definitely up there for possibles. I'll be keeping an eye on that when Oscars rolls around.
I think it's gonna get Oscar buzz, but it didn't. I don't think it made my top 10 of
Honestly,
2020.
I don't know if it did mine either. But yeah.
Mank.